All right, so I am actually sitting right next to an old property that, from my research, it's an 18th century farm home built sometime between 1775 and 1790. Do it with an app that I have on my iPhone here. It lists who the owners were. I looked it up, found a contact number. Lady answered the phone. Once I explained to her I was looking for permission to metal detect the property, she gave me another gentleman's name and number. I contacted him. He's had the request before and was told by, being that it's a corporate firm that owns it, in today's society, everybody's worried about getting sued, liability, blah, blah, if somebody gets hurt while they're on the property. Which I explained to him. I said, it's a pet peeve of mine. I hate the fact that everybody's so sue happy. I don't feel, with a lot of hobbies that I have had over the years, you take a liability amongst yourself when you are doing things. And the fact that anybody could sue somebody, if I walk on that property with a metal detector and I fall and I hurt myself, the fact that I could even find a lawyer and a court would let me sue the owners and win any substantial amount of money from them is completely asinine. I just, I don't even understand how that is even feasibly possible to be able to sue somebody when you are doing an activity on your own undertaking. It's just, I can't fathom it. But after talking to the guy, and luckily he is a history buff as well, I even told him, I said, well, if you guys want to, the corporation, the company or whatever, somebody wants to sign up, write up a waiver, I will gladly drive over to there from York, PA. I will drive to York and sign a waiver, completely keeping them clear of all liability of my mental or physical well-being while on the property. Because I don't believe in suing them anyway, because I want permission to get on there and metal detect, because 18th century, I can just imagine what's probably on this 4.5 acres. I bet you there's some good stuff to be found and relics to save. Because I told him, with all the development going around, just over here behind what you're seeing there, that's owned by a developer partnership firm in Lancaster. And they are the ones responsible for building that hotel and the restaurants and the other stores. And then on the other side of that is nothing but townhomes. Do you know how much history they have probably buried underneath all that impervious development? Yes. It's disgusting. It makes me sad and sick to my stomach. But after talking to the gentleman, the lady that I was given his name and number for, and I, telling him that I'd be more than happy to sign a waiver, he said he's going to check with the liability department and get back to me in a couple days. He said he appreciates, what I'm trying to do here by trying to save old history, because he's a history buff himself, which it saddens me also to know that if people that are actually into the history, and yet if he doesn't have the power to save this property, this property was bought by them quite a while ago for $1 million, per what I found here online researching. It used to be the Brown Hospitality Farm. It had other The barn was built in 1797. The home was owned by James C. Brown. He was an equestrian exhibitor, breeder, and the president of the American Morgan Horse Institute. And him and his family renovated the house and were careful to keep everything preserved in the layout, accommodating the old-fashioned farmhouse elements like the 24-inch thick stone walls. It's just over 4.5 acres. But it was purchased in 2018 for $1 million by Wellspan Properties Incorporated. Now, it goes on to saying that the spokesperson for that corporate property company, they don't have any tentative plans. Has tentative plans to offer services that would meet the needs of the community. But they had said that they were assessing the property sits, let's see here. Property sits near the North Cornwall Commons development, which continues to progress through its phases, 2 of which, phase 4 and 5, are situated up the street in Cornwall Road. And sadly, that other the developing company, there are, well, if you see that house right, wow, what happened to the light? That house right there is the only house that is still owned by a person, not the developer. And I think I don't have time now today, I gotta get to work, but I think I may stop and talk to that lady. I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna guess that she's probably an elderly lady. And I'm going to see if, I tried contacting the developer company, but nobody answers the phone. But they own like 4 other properties next to that one. And then they also own all that farm field back here behind me. And on the other side of those homes, that same developer company is in the process of leasing off and developing and building, people are building things. So completely destroying and ruining old land and property, and which is probably holding many old relics. And they will be lost under buildings forever until those buildings, who knows how long it'll be till they're gone. So, hoping for good news from the gentleman that I spoke with, and hoping that I can get permission for this property. There's that old saying, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. But being that as a relic hunter, and a law-abiding citizen, I prefer to, do things on the legal up and up and get permission instead of trespassing. Just because I don't want to help make a bad name for, metal detectorists. It's bad enough. It's just like metal detecting, rock hounding. There's a lot of bad vibes out there due to people doing things prior to many of us that would rather do them the correct way. And because of today's society and everybody being sue happy, and the fact that courts and lawyers are even able to win a case for somebody trespassing and then getting hurt on a property, I can't fathom it. But the fact that that's even a possibility is, I guess, the issue that makes it hard for the rest of us to try to get permission. And yet, it's sad to think that what are they going to do with this 17th century old stone farmhouse I mean, it's becoming. They bought it in 2018. Just driving by, and I walked down on the edge of the road, the disarray that this house is in, just in what 4 years of sitting. The front roofs have fallen off over the porches. The roof, you can tell the roof is in disrepair. Guaranteed there's leaks in there, so it's destroying the inside of the home. And of course, developers and corporations, they don't have the gentleman I talked to, he's a history buff. He cares like I care about preserving this old stuff. But the people in charge with the money, they do not. And due to that, I fear that this house and barn will be torn down sooner than later. And the old history of it is lost forever, just from what people would remember. And that's sad to me. But, so we'll hope for the best and hope that I get some good news, can go sign a waiver and then get permission to detect this property, hopefully. So, for now, I will stay off the property and see what they have to say later. So, stay tuned. Further development of this metal detecting story to be coming your way, hopefully.